Glitch What Ifs here, back with another video, and we're going to be doing What If Deku Died. Now, we're going to be starting off with the all for one fight. Deku's going all out, fighting again till all for one gets a hold at, touches Deku's hand, basically grabs it and sucks his life force out and taking the cork, but the remains of the cork are still within Deku. And now all of class 1A is sad that Deku's dead, but Bakugo isn't. So All Might looks at Deku with shame and pity, thinking, why would I ever choose a successor like you that would die just from one attack? Not knowing that Deku was still alive and they can hear them all. And in Class 1A, realizing that he died from just one measly attack, starts to laugh and take pity on him, calling him a weakling. Now, All Might takes a piece of Deku's hair and gives it to Bakugo. And let's just say that All Might knew about the blood technique and told Bakugo to cut his hand and give a little of the blood to Araka. As he did that, and as you can say, they got the one for all supercharged Super Saiyan mode, both of them. And since they both had the power, they both got to choose one power. Bakugo chose the Kaioken power, and Araka chose Float, which exploded her quirk tremendously, making it 100 times stronger, while Bakugo has the Kaioken quirk, making his explosions more explosive and stronger. So they both fight all for one and kill him, but in the process, all of Class 1A and All Might end up dying, and even Deku, and they get sent to the spirit world, getting called as servants for the Holy Grail War. Everyone gets called, but Deku. And the rule is, if you don't get called, and the rule in the spirit world is, if you don't get called to fight in a holy war or any type of war at all, or get summoned at all, you get demoted every 300 years, and time passes, and Deku keeps getting demoted. He already wasn't that high of a level because the gods that put him in the spirit world didn't see him as that strong, since he died of one attack from One for All. Well, All for One, I should be saying. I'm stupid. Anyway, so Deku keeps getting demoted. And by now, he's the lowest ranking servant, to where he gets beaten in the servant world to the brink of death. But you can't really die since you're a spirit. But they beat him so much every single time, and they belittle him since he's never been summoned before, even to find the Holy Grail War. Right now, Deku would just be a lowly servant. Anybody, even with a little amount of magic, would summon him, but he wouldn't be able to fight since all his magic and power was took away. He would just be a lowly servant that would be like a butler, can only do household chores. But if they summoned him for that, he wouldn't be good at it. And so we skip over to Balconel, running to the tavern place. I forgot what it's called, but it was like the one place I forgot what it's called. I'll probably have to remember it. But he goes there and gets the Grimoire book, and since he just got kicked out of Hestia's Familia, flashback, Belle can hear Hestia and this unknown guy that let's just say his name is Zach, and Zack is a cocky, misogynist bastard. Misogynist. But Bell, over the years, hasn't raised his level. He went to Goddess Hestia at age 13, and it's been 2 years, and he still hasn't even rose in rank. He's only level. He only rose. Don't know that number. Don't even know that number. This is why I have notifications off. Sorry for the interruption there. Just had to fix something. But yeah, we go to Bell Canal. He opens the grimoire and I was on the flashback. Sorry, forgot where I was. He can hear Hestia and him and Zack talking about how they should kick Bell out of the guild. He hasn't even raised his rank one bit all over the years. And Hestia's agreeing with Zack. And Bell's a little bit sad. They run away, and Bell runs away. And Zack knew he was there, so that's why he says. Hestia and Zack both knew he was there, so that's why they started talking about him. He started crying, and then he goes to, I think the place is called like Big Mama's or something. I'm probably wrong, but yeah, he goes there and gets the grimoire. And he chooses ice because he's sad and he wants to put barriers around himself so no one can hurt him ever again. He chooses ice, and then he goes down to the dungeon to get stronger, to prove Hestia and Zack wrong. He goes down there, and on the first level, he gets to the Minotaur, the thing that scared him out of the dungeon the first time. Flashback. Bell was fighting lowly goblins when the Minotaur showed up. He almost died. Blood got splattered all over him. But Wallenstein had to save him, and she had a disgusted look on her face. Looking at him with disgust at how weak he was. Couldn't even fight off a lowly Minotaur. Saying in her head. And Belle runs off, as we see, the first episode. And the guy called him the Tomato Kid or whatever. And and Bella's a little bit scared. He tries to fight off the Minotaur using his ice more and more, but doesn't help. And Bell is on the brink of death, and in his dying wish, he asks for somebody or something to please help him. And then Deku hears his call. Still being heroic enough, Bell summons Deku. And Bell already being dead, Deku transfers into his body. Transfers into his body, like I said. Then he gets up, already in weakened condition. But since he got beat to the brink of death, he's regenerating. As we know, Bell had a secret ability that helped him regenerate it every time, but it was slowly. Every time he got beaten, he would regenerate faster. The worse the condition, the faster he would regenerate. So when he got beaten to the brink of death, he was regenerating faster and faster. But his body was still in worsened condition to the limit because the Minotaur messed him up really bad. So Deku started fighting, not want to die since he got his second chance at life. He keeps slashing and slashing, but it doesn't work, and the Minotaur rams him with his half horn in the head, stabbing Deku in his stomach. And Deku says, "No, I can't die here. Not when I got my second chance at life." And Deku, blood freezes around the Minotaur's hand. So tough that the Minotaur can't get it out. And first, Deku goes for the eyes, and then goes for the eyes. Then he goes for the neck, chopping them. Then he keeps repeatedly going for the neck, chopping the Minotaur's head off. Then he slices off the horn. Since he has the ability Lucky, he gets a crystal. Time skip 1 year. Deku's hair has grown longer and flatter. His eyes have become cold. His skin has become paler and paler. until it was kind of Snow White, and his eyes became cold blue, became cold blue. Since he kept repeatedly using ice shards over and over again. Now Deku was on the 105th floor. He's already on the 200th floor. He already passed Goliath, the other things, and everything. He starts killing more and more monsters, leveling up more his rank. And since he had the skill Argonaut, there was still a little bit of Bell's ambition in Deku to prove Hestia and the whole guild wrong. Meanwhile, Loki, Eyes Wallenstein and Loki both summon their heroic spirits. Only a few in the Don Machi world can summon heroic spirits. Eyes Wallenstein summon Ochako, and Loki summons Bakugo. And they both get out of there, saying, "This isn't the Fate world. We didn't get summoned for a Holy Grail war." Araka saying the same thing. And Loki introducing herself, saying, "Hi, I'm Loki, a god. Well, a goddess." And Eyes introducing herself to Araka as Eyes Wallenstein. Both bowing to the heroic spirits. And Bakugo asks, "What are we doing here?" And Loki explains, basically, "We summoned you here to be our top rankers for the guild, to be the best guild in the world, number one. And basically this world is filled with magic and dungeons." And Bakugo tries to use his explosions and he still can. And Araka tries to use her gravity cloak and she still can too. But since they have magic, since they're heroic spirits, their abilities, all their abilities, like the abilities they chose, Float and Kaioken, are enhanced by 100. Now, Araka doesn't even have to touch anything anymore. She can just look at it and move it with her mind. Basically telekinesis, but at a wider span. And Bakugo, basically, he can go into the Super Saiyan charge mode, all the time now. Basically moving at the speed of light. But that still won't be enough to stop Deku. Now, going back to Deku, he keeps going further and further in the dungeon. And the dungeon keeps getting more and more magical power. Until the point he has infinite. His magic power just keeps growing. And his ice power has evolved into ice creation. Now he can create weapons, armor, anything with ice. And then Deku gets to a certain part of the dungeon where he finds a closed door. And he kicks the door open. And he finds a giant minotaur with a horse bottom that has armor on it, that has a big giant knife, and it's 50 feet tall. And Deku gets trauma from fighting that first minotaur and almost dying. Oh my god, I'm getting tired of that. It's ruining the whole what if, bro, but whatever. He gets trauma from almost getting killed by that last one, but he knows he's stronger now. And at this point in time, Deku uses ice creation, sliding around the Minotaur, slashing at its legs, making it fall down, and then repeatedly going for the neck with a giant ice axe. Till he cuts his head off. And then out of all the lotus petals that fall and sparkles of magic, he sees... What, bro? Oh my god. Sorry for the inconvenience. This sword stuck in the ground. and he tries to pull it up as hard as he can. Then he tries again, then he tries again, and then he finally pulls it out. It being, oh my god, I haven't watched Sword Art Online in a long time. We'll just call this Excalibur. Forgot the name. We'll just call it Excalibur. I think it was called like something like the Vine Sword or like the Lotus Sword. I have no idea. But yeah, he finds this sword and takes it. Now he doesn't have... Oh yeah, these are the two ships, if you didn't know. They're both going to be heroic spirits. Basically, flashback. These were the only two heroic spirits that were nice to Deku. Yeah, they got summoned to the Holy Grail War often by really strong people. But every time before the Holy Grail War happened, they would say goodbye to Deku and wish him the best of luck though he gets summoned. Basically, these girls both had feelings for Deku, but they didn't have enough courage to tell him, because they didn't want him getting fouled up in their business, because it would make him a big target. And then Deku goes lower and lower in the dungeon, realizing that there's no end to this dungeon. It's practically infinite. So he keeps racing down and down the dungeon, not ending. Practically, he's on floor 1000, killing and fighting monsters. And right now, Deku has reached level infinite. He can't level up anymore. Every time he kills him, every time he just takes a step, he keeps rising in magical power. Since he has that skill, Argonaut, and then Lucky, and then regenerating skill. And now it doesn't take that long for him to regenerate. Now if he even gets hit, he'll just regenerate like that in a snap. Doesn't matter, it won't even take that long. So Deku finds a dungeon. Finds a dungeon with a door that says exit. But he sees there are more ways to go. But when he saw the exit before, he thought that was the end of the dungeon. He finally made it. Practically now, Deku will be on floor 100 million. Seeing that there's no end to it, he would just go up. And then when he went up, he would have long hair. He's practically would be unrecognizable. His hair would be all the way down. His hair would be practically all the way down to his waist. And then he went to a hair whatever they had back then, and got his hair cut to where it looks like this, where you see in the picture. Right now, Deku has been in the dungeons for years with no human contact. Right now, he would be 16, and he would have no human contact. So he would be kind of an invert, not willing to talk to people, and being partially emotionless to all the trauma and pain he's went through. So Deku goes to an armor shop, and he goes back all the way down in the deep ends of the closets in every single store until he finds this right here. A white jacket, you could say. And he reads like the status on it, and it says enhances your abilities by 100 times, and defense 1 million. And he goes to the store clerk, and the store clerk said, do you really he goes to like the counter or whatever, and the guy's like, are you sure you want this? It's just a lengthy piece of cloth. And Deku says, yeah. And the guy or girl, it doesn't matter, says, again, are you sure you want that? Many adventurers have passed it up. It was a really old guy that left it here, saying that one day a really strong man was gonna take it. But obviously that guy was crazy. It's just a piece of cloth. It has no protective properties or nothing. Can't even help you. It doesn't even enhance your abilities in battle. Are you sure you want it? Deku says, yes. Yeah, so he carries on and goes. And then Deku has an idea. Wait, what if I can get the power of a god? So he goes and gets a knife and offs himself in a sacred place, obviously preserving his body to where he can go back to it again. And then he goes to the place of gods, and he goes there, and all the gods up there sense a tremendous amount of power coming up, power that can even be stronger than Zeus himself, far stronger in fact. So we got all the gods go, and they see Zeku now having angel wings, as he goes up there, and he starts fighting all the gods and goddesses, basically putting them to the brink of death, testing out all of his powers. And he's basically mad at most gods because all the gods just looked at him with pity while he was sitting there suffering through all the pain. Looked at him with pity, thinking he would go nowhere. But yeah, he puts all of them to the brink of death, getting tremendous power, defeating all of them. He gets a reward after. He basically has the power of all the gods over there, basically, and all demigods. He has the strength of Hercules, and obviously he has the strength of Hercules, the wealth, I forgot the goddess name, but yeah, and the crafting skills of Hephaestus. Well, let's just say Hephaestus had a twin, and the twin that went down to the world, let's just say, was a piece of her, a fragment of her real power. Obviously, the other gods went down there without them themselves, not sending down a fragment, but Hephaestus was the only one that did. So now he has the creation and smarts of Hephaestus and all the other gods except for Zeus. And Zeus is sitting in the background, clapping again. And of course, clapping again. And in the background, wow, now when Rose, let's just say she's Rose and Violet are in the background. Yeah, they were heroic spirits, but they have achieved so much they became lowly gods, just starting off in the ranks. So they're in the background. Just scratch the Zeus thing I said. They're in the background, and Deku can sense their energy. Realizing who it was, he dashes behind them and says, hi. And they get into their fighting stances, not knowing who this unknown being is. But then Violet realizes, which is her right here, and Violet realizes who it is and says, Deku. And they both jump into his arms, crying and hugging him, and say, why would you leave? Crying and stuff. And then he sits there and talks for them. And they're sitting there for a while, maybe a year. Right now, Deku will be 17. Well, 2 years. They're talking for 2 years, catching up. Deku now would be 18. And now Violet and Rose, they didn't know they both had feelings for Deku. But Violet had a feeling that Rose had the same feelings that she had. So she walked up to her and said, Do you like Deku? And Rose blushed and saying yeah, and basically yeah, they all agreed to share him. And then they told him the news, and he was happy because he liked both of them. He liked both of them, and then they went down. And they obviously didn't come down in their full goddess bodies or whatever. They obviously came down they found bodies that were already dead to use, so this is technically not their true forms. But then Deku's soul went back into, Bell's body. And basically Deku had to search for their energy again because they went into dead people's bodies, so he had to search for their energy, and it took him all the way across the world. And then he found them. And then it took them a long time, and they traveled back. It took them a year. They cleared a lot of dungeons. Basically, most dungeons were infinite, but most weren't. And they cleared them, and then they just disappeared. And we're gonna skip over to Goddess Hestia. Her guild has grew tremendously. She's one of the top 3 guilds. Well, yeah, I may have to end it here. Well, let's just say a flashback. Deku and all of these 3 have the Thunderbolt mark, basically being in Zeus's little, gang, as you could say, hunters or whatever. And you see the reason he was clapping was because he saw how strong Deku was and wanted to bring his guild back to life. Technically, giving them a chance, basically boosting their power by 100 times. Basically boosting their power by 100 times. Because Deku already didn't need it, but he accepted it. Anyway. Dang, my screen's flipping. He accepted it anyway. So Deku and all of them, like I said in the flashback, are in the city once again, and they've collected all their stuff, all the stuff they got from countless dungeons. And they bought a big giant house. Obviously, I don't have the picture of the house, but I will have it soon in the next part. They buy a big giant mansion with all the money they have, and they still have a lot saved up. So they buy food and everything, the essentials that you would need. And they just go down deeper and deeper into the dungeons, and they run into Bakugo and the Loki Familia and the Hestia Familia, because they were doing a duo of clearing the dungeon, but we all know the dungeon's infinite, like I said. Well, not infinite, but infinite in this what if. Going down and clearing the dungeons, thinking that there's only 2,000 floors, and right now they're on floor, let's just say 399. And then while Deku and his girls Violet and Rose are speedrunning it because they're just that good, that they run into Bakugo. Deku accidentally bumps into Bakugo and the Loki Familia, and Rose and Violet stop to watch what's about to happen. And Bakugo says, "Watch where you're going. I'm not trying to do the voice, but watch where you're going." Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Sorry. Watch where you're going, you weakling. Yeah, as he said, I'm sorry for repeating myself. And Deku just stands there, surprised that Bakugo and Araka are in this world, knowing all that Araka said about him being worthless and weak. But thanks for the quirk. Him knowing all what she said and what Bakugo said, he's a little bit angry that Araka really didn't have feelings for him and had feelings for Bakugo. He just wasn't strong enough to defeat All for One. And so, none of them recognizes Deku or Bell since, just Deku now. Bell died a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but he's changed. But he's changed, and yeah, Deku has the angel wings, but he conceals them because like there's no point in using them. He can just conceal them and fly. It doesn't look like he have wings like and stuff. So, but basically, yeah. And right now, while he bumped into him, they were actually in the middle of a big boss fight. Basically, trying to defeat one of the lowly bosses before the big Minotaur comes. Basically, generates every single month. It's been over that time, so he's already generated. So, well, not a month, but every 2 days to make it to not where people could just fly through the dungeon going past him. But yeah, they're on one of the lowly bosses, which is basically a tiny demon, but it has tremendous power to where Deku accidentally bumping into them while speedrunning it. Messed up like their whole like tactic and stuff, and basically almost all of them died, but Rose, Violet, and Deku stopped them. Deku basically put a ice barrier, basically blocking the demon from slashing at the Loki Familia. And Rose and Violet literally grabbed them and pushed them out of the way. And then they started fighting the demon. They finished it rather easily. And Bakugo is like, "Hey, weakling, tell me who you are." And Deku doesn't respond. And Bakugo grabs his shirt and keeps saying, "Tell me who you are before I pummel your face in." And Eyes and the other people part of the Loki Familia are curious who this mysterious figure is that they've never seen before. Some of them are thinking it's Bell, but Bell didn't have blue eyes he ever read. So they took Bell out of the question. They never seen this guy around before. So they were kind of curious. And then one of them says, "Yeah, we would like to know who you are. We haven't seen you around this area before. This is the first time seeing you in a dungeon." Basically, Deku doesn't respond, and then Bakugo gets an explosion out and tries to hit him with it, but it ends up failing. And yeah, sorry for the long silence. Sometimes I'm just thinking before I speak and stuff. Sorry. But yeah, basically he throws an explosion at him, and Deku dodges, and basically has a ice knife to Bakugo's neck. Basically not wanting to use the Dollar Tree Excalibur that he has. Because if he did, just by accidentally piercing him a little bit would kill them and freeze him to death. So he basically just has an ice knife to his neck. And everyone in the Loki Familia is getting in their fighting stance. But then Deku just walks away, going down to the 400th floor of the dungeon, clearing it. But there's more monsters that keep going, and he just keeps killing them till it stops, and he just keeps going down and down. Obviously, Bakugo and the Rocket and the Loki Familia trying to follow him, but he's going too fast to the point where monsters are starting to regenerate faster and faster, and they can't keep up. Sorry for the short pause, but yeah, as I said, the monsters keep regenerating and generating. Bakugo and the Rocket and the Loki Familia had to slow down to kill all the monsters, and they kept chasing after Deku and Rose and Violet. But then they turned to follow them again, and they disappeared, going through the secret patches in the dungeon. And then Deku, behind that, is finding another boss. And basically looks like a mix of a demon and an angel mixed together. Basically it's throwing light spears and black flames at him. Deku's dodging and putting up ice barriers. And then he pulls out Excalibur. And he slams it on the ground, making the whole ground ice. And then he makes basically ice stairs, but he's running up them. He jumps up and slashes, well, the hybrid of a demon and an angel's head off. And then they get a little surprise. Deku gets an achievement. He has reached a level beyond, basically beyond infinite. And he can't level up anymore. Because even if he tried, he would just get stronger and stronger. And about right now, let's just say the power levels of Araka and Bakugo, they're about level 400. Well, let's just say make it a little bit. Level 1999. Basically, they were grinding in 2000 thinking they were the top ranker. They even little to know that Deku, Rose, and Violet were the top rankers. So Deku teleports them out of the dungeon as another power of defeating all the gods. Teleports them out of the dungeon. And basically, I'm guessing like Hermes. Yeah, he has the shoes of Hermes, basically like the flight shoes and stuff. He has those. But he doesn't use them all the time since he basically has wings. Unless he's too lazy to use them. Basically, that's when he uses Hermes shoes. But yeah. And then all the gods announce, basically after this, Bakugo and the Loki Familia got out. And Deku, Violet, and Rose are just walking down the street. And then all the gods announce that they will be having a dungeon war. Well, technically not fighting over the dungeons, but basically whoever reaches to the lowest part of the dungeon, basically like if someone reaches 2,000, they will be the highest on there, and someone reaches 1,000, so on and so on. Basically, who can get the furthest in the dungeon? They announce that. And everyone's smiling and cheering that they're going to have their annual dungeon war. And I'll end it right here. Wow, 37 minutes. Could have went for 40.